Hi, I'm Kenny Yates, and this is Nuggets of Truth. Today, I want to talk to you about why Christians should celebrate Veterans Day. First and foremost, we should celebrate Veterans Day as an act of gratitude for the great price that was paid for your freedom and for my freedom, for the freedom that we enjoy here in the West. We, as Americans, we live in a land of freedom, the freedom to choose whatever we want. The young men who were drafted and sent to fight a war they did not start fought with bravery and valor. The young men who volunteer and serve in times of peace give up a lot to do so. I read the story of Ernest Albert Andrews Jr., better known as Andy. Andy recalled that all 250 boys in his graduating class of 1943 were drafted. He was only 20 years old when he was commanded to storm Omaha Beach, Normandy, France. He remembers thick layers of vomit that he had to walk through, and even he remembers someone throwing up on his back from a mixture of fear and seasickness. Andy was a Christian and did not want to kill anyone, but not given a choice, he did his job. With vivid recollection, he remembered the sickening feeling in the pit of his own stomach as he saw the blood-soaked tide lapping at the dead bodies and all the wounded on the shore of that beach. Overcome with grief, it hit him, the tremendous loss of life. He remembers a battle he and 34 other soldiers fought in the early mornings of November the 19th, 1944, just outside Hameln, Germany, defending a stronghold called Hill 232. After the scrimmage, there were only 5 survivors of the original 35 soldiers left alive. During the skirmish, Andy's good friend was shot through the head and later died in Andy's lap, gasping for air as blood spilled out of his nose and out of his ears. Andy was then ordered to take over the machine gun after the 4 previous gunners were shot in their faces. Andy fought valiantly, desperately killing the onslaught of enemy soldiers as they crested the bluff, shooting snipers out of trees and doing his best to stay alive. He remembered a German soldier getting close enough to lob a grenade at him before Andy could shoot him down. The shrapnel wounded Andy in his shoulder. After that, the bloody fighting subsided for a while. There was silence for about 30 minutes, during which time Andy thought that the German soldier he had shot was dead, when he noticed a white handkerchief emerge from the darkness and a frightened voice say in broken English, "Please, may I surrender?" A frightened, blood-covered, badly wounded German soldier crawled over to him. He was only a boy, even younger than Andy. Andy later found out he was only 17 years old. Concerned for his life, he asked Andy if he was going to kill him. To which Andy answered, no, he would never do such a thing, because then that would be murder and he was a Christian. The young German soldier admitted that he too was a Christian. They both had been drafted and sent to fight that dreadful war. If not for the bravery of such men who fought on the front lines, and the bravery of women who volunteered to serve their country in whatever aspect that was needed, we could be living in a whole different world. A world ruled by a communist regime. If not for stories like this one, you would not have the career that you have now. You would not have the freedom to burn the flag that you now hate. If it was not for the bravery of the hundreds of thousands of brave men and women who faithfully serve their country, fighting for freedom, the freedom to choose whatever you want, the freedom you now take for granted, would not be possible. And even in this, in 2008, our military took away the privilege of our new recruits receiving the Gideon New Testament Bible at our military entrance processing stations, calling it freedom of religion. I remember as a young recruit receiving a copy of the New Testament at the induction center in New Orleans just before I shipped out to basic training, better known as boot camp. I still have that New Testament Bible. So, yes, it is not only our privilege, but our duty to celebrate our veterans as a huge thank you for what they have done and continue to do. So let me just sum up what I am saying. As a Christian, we ought to celebrate and observe Veterans Day, if nothing else but for the fact that we are thankful and grateful to be living in a free country, a country where we still have the right to choose. We celebrate Veterans Day in honor of our men and our women who faithfully serve in one of our military branches. We honor especially those like Andy, who gave up his prime time life, his late teens to early 20s. He sacrificed the privilege of dating, marrying, vacations, and just leisure time sitting with the family watching TV. He gave it all up to serve his country. We Christians understand sacrifice since Jesus gave up everything to be a sacrifice for the world. He left the splendor of heaven to bear it to dark Calvary, to pay our debt, a debt he did not owe, a debt we could not pay. But Jesus sacrificed for us. So, veterans, we honor you and we thank you as we celebrate your service, as we celebrate you. Thanks for each and every veteran. We appreciate your service. May the Lord bless you richly. May the Lord bless your families richly. I'm Kenny Yates. This is Nuggets of Truth. Be blessed and stay blessed.